Good morning. Monday, Pasha's Tazriya. Today we're going to be entering a very important sugya. Sugya we started already yesterday talking about it. Sugya of loving the child. In truth is, loving the child is not something. The whole sugya, the whole outlook, how the Yiddishkeit perceiving love is totally different than the secular love. By us, the love starts, the physical, it's the last step of love. There's there's few steps before that, before we execute and before we achieve real love. Ahava is achievement, as I said, the Ahava Gematria 13 in same Gematria also like Echad. The goal of Ahava is to achieve oneness. That's what we call love, oneness. That's what we call Dvaikis. Dvaikis in Hashem, Ahava's Hashem, certain oneness. Not certain, it's the oneness. It's totally different understanding, totally different take than secular interpretation of love is. It's not about the physical relationships. It's more of feelings that you are one with the person that you are loved with. You are one with Ribono Shel Olam, and you achieve certain oneness with them, with your child, with your spouse. That's the aim. The aim in the goal of love is to achieve feeling of oneness. Question is how do we do that? So we'll start from the beginning, from the core, and B'ezras Hashem will patiently we'll continue in discussing it further on. Sometimes we'll see a child who is very, very active child. I'll be more specific, is very aggressive. Meaning to say he's hurting kids around him. When he, let's say, wants to have certain toy, and that this toy has the other friend has it, or the brother has it, sibling has it, instead of asking to give him the toy, he becomes physical, and he starts to hurt the child who has this toy and just confiscates it from him. A certain Gvar Alam will call it, right? Very aggressive. Or sometimes we see the child that he's using the very aggressive language, like I will give you a patch if you won't give it to me, or I will hurt you, and Kitaka executes it, and he's hurting friends, hurting the siblings, sometimes even hurting the parents as well. This behavior causes the parents and teachers as well, puts the parents in certain alert mode, that they feel, okay, when this child is around, someone's gonna get hurt. It's certain his behavior according to his behavior, our judgments on the child, we start to perceive the child, we start to judge the child. That this child is someone who is gonna execute some negative actions right now. So, and that's the child's behavior. According to his behavior, we'll feel that the child is very aggressive, very, let's call it destructive. But the parents, sometimes we see that from one side he behaves like a mature child, and he has that mature touch to him. Sometimes he does things which even his brain capacity, it's higher. Sometimes he does things which is even the older kids can perform. But from other side, he has a destructive behavior in himself, in himself, that in order to ask someone to give the toy, he hurts. So that becomes like a contradiction between in personality itself. From one side, he has that mature touch to him, and mature people, of course, when they need something, they communicate. They don't just grab and confiscate. From other side, he had that childish behavior by grabbing and confiscating with aggression on the toy or any objects which he finds and he wants, and it's in the hand of other person. So we need to think into this behavior before we release the judgment that this kid needs more professional help, before we judge him as a mental off child. We need to think what's going on. What's going on with this child? Why is he aggressive? What is it? Why is he aggressive? Why does he behave this way? How can we help him? Before we start to go in helping this child, before we put ourselves in help with this child, we first need to know a very important knowledge, that this behavior is not a regular behavior. It means to say, the reason why the child is behaving aggressively is not what pushes him to behave aggressively is not because he wants to behave aggressively. This behavior is a form of communication. He's communicating with parents, he's communicating with teachers, he's communicating with the rabbis. That's a form of communication. This behavior needs to be interpreted as a form of communication. Now he is communicating with us. So we need to hear what kind of message this communication, this behavior, vibes us and provides us with. To be more specific and more in depth, a child is testing. He's communicating because he's testing his parents. He's testing his rabbis, meaning he has that certain need, constant need to check up how the people around me relate to me, how my parents relate to me, how my parents look at me, what kind of takes and outlooks my parents have on me. Do they love me? Do they hate me? Right? That's that, and his constant certain need. Certain kids have that need, that they need to constantly check up on the people around them. Do they love me, or they don't, or they dislove me? Do they approve me or they disapprove me? It's not only the parents, it's all the people around this child. This child is trying to test what kind of takes and outlooks and perception the people around me have on me. So this behavior is love dafka, this negative behavior, and he's behaving the way he's behaving because he's trying to pull out the information, and he wants to hear the confirmation. What do you hold? What do you say about me? Of course, it's a certain error in the communication skill, because why would you choose to communicate negatively if you can do the same thing positively? Yes, it's a certain error in communication, but however, this behavior at majority of times, the aggressive behavior on behalf of the child, at majority of times is it's not the behavior, that's called disorder. It's more of communication disorder. I'd like to use the disorder, but it's a communication issue. It's a communication error. It's not the behavior error, it's a communication error. So before we start to help the child, we have to interpret this behavior this way. And now we knowing that the reason why the child behaving the way he's behaving right now more aggressively is just trying to communicate. In other words, is asking us, what do you say about me? Do you love me or you dislove me? Do you approve me or you disapprove me? There's three possible reasons. As I said before, in the same way, it could have just performed. It could have tested with negative or positive behavior. Why did he choose to pull out the information from the people around him, what they hold of him, by behaving negatively? So there's three possible options for it. What makes the child dafka to choose the negative path in order to communicate with us and pull out this information from us? What do we hold about him? There's three possible options. The number one, it's the anxiety of being abandoned. Number two, it's ahava tanai, meant to say, it's trying to test us. Do we love him because of his behaviors? Do we love him because of any reasons, or we just love him because he's our biological son, and there's we have a love to him without any kind of conditions. We love it just because you are my child. Number 3, as we call pampering love. It's you're looking to be pampered, to extra care, extra, like here's like the baby in the baby, extra love. Yeah, we'll discuss it. We'll take it apart, all 3 options, Bez Hashem. So let's start from number 1. Number 1 is fear, or it's anxiety of abandonment. Yeah, it's very important even for adults to be in tune with this concept of having anxiety of abandonment. This is very natural feelings, which was it's a preset feelings which was given to every human, and it actually the human was born with these feelings, and he will live all his life. Even people from 80 and 90 years old have that anxiety of being abandoned. It's very natural nature and very natural feelings. So it's important even for adults to be in tune with these feelings, so you won't judge yourself. A lot of times we can see even by we can see the kids. Sometimes we see the child, he's playing half an hour in his room with the toys, and every half an hour comes out the kitchen just to see is the mother is in kitchen, people are in kitchen, the siblings are in kitchen, and then he goes back in his room playing. And then after he comes back in the kitchen, looking again at the mother here. Is now mother, is she left? Is she around here? When he stopped hearing that voices of his mother talking on the phone in the kitchen, he right away comes and checking up if the mother is still in the kitchen or she left, and what's going on with the child. What's going on with the child is within himself, he has that fears, he has that anxiety of being abandoned, meaning that maybe she left me, maybe she abandoned me, and and she left the home. So when he hears her, when his mother talking on the phone, so he's secure that she is around and she did not abandon him. When he does not hear the voices, he feels, oh, maybe she left me, maybe she dropped me, and right away when the thought comes across the mind of the child's mind, it awakes within the child that anxiety. Oh, she left me, she dropped me, and right away it pushes him to run out and check if this is true or not, confirm his thoughts. It's the anxiety of abandonment. It's not pachad. It's not pachad. It's fears. Anxiety and this is charudis. It's charudis. Meaning to say totally different understanding. Pachad. The interpretation of pachad is it's a fears of a concrete reason. More concrete reason. Let's say if someone does not have money, and he starts to have a pachad. Pachad means there's a concrete reason why what awakes with himself a pachad, because he doesn't have money. He's not going to be able to make a chasna. He's not going to be able to pay his rent. That's a concrete. That's what we call pachad. Pachad is fears based on concrete reasons. Then there is charodis, amo, and charodis is the same thing. It's something which is not concrete. It comes when a person starts to think, what if? What if, let's say a person has a business and the business is he's strong with the business, is experiencing certain down stage in the business, and it wakes the person that thought, what if I'll go bankruptcy? So that's what we call anxiety. Anxiety is not concrete. Right now, every business has its challenges, every business has its ups and downs, and so when a person starts to asking the question, what if, and leads him to like that being inadequate, that we call anxiety. Anxiety is not based on concrete current reasons. There's no reason right now to accept it, because things change. Things can go up. It's not yet. You don't yet accept that you're going bankruptcy. Rashi is in Shire saying that the poil aleim emutzu fachad. Rashi is saying emutzu is the rechukim, or pachad is the kroivim. It's a very gewaldig, very significant discovery. Pachad is kroivim. Meant to say is things with right now is concrete reason why, what causes me to be in fears. Emo is the rechoikim, is something which is dover rochoik. What if China will take over the world? What's gonna be? What if? It's far reasons. It's far fears from this. It's not yet a reality which causes us to have fears. So when we talk about the Herdes and Nitisha, meaning to say it's anxiety of being abandonment, it's something. What if she left me? The child thinks. It's not conscious. It's not with consciousness. It's with subconscious. What if? Some people live with this anxiety constantly. When people, let's say, chas v'shalom, and they're, let's say someone heard his good friend, something happened, chas v'shalom, to him, he starts to think, what if it will happen to him also? He falls into anxiety as well. So again, we have to distinguish, make a very clear chiluk here between pachad and anxiety. Fears, anxiety. Fears is concrete, real, valid reasons right now that causes a person pain, like not having right now money to support yourself. And the emo on charoda, it's something which is rochoik, it's anxiety. It wakes within person when he's asking himself the question, what if? And interesting, anxiety is not something natural which was inborn with the person comes into this world. Anxiety, it's a certain mental errors that people have, misperceptions, misunderstandings, and it's not something which a person was born with. It's a lot more of a life experience, made the person victim over his thoughts. But chedes and tish, anxiety of being abandoned, it's something which a person was born with. And the reason for it is because that's really why Taka the Rebbeinu Shloim ingrained in people that naturally that this anxiety of abandonment, because really that's what we need for avodas Hashem. Meaning to say, what makes a person encourages the person to keep Torah and love him and mitzvahs asay and lois asay is based on the anxiety, on abandonment anxiety. We have that anxiety. We are Hashem's people. We have that anxiety to Hashem should not abandon us, and we should not abandon Hashem. And constant this anxiety, which is a very healthy anxiety, keeps us motivating us to keep Torah, to keep mitzvahs, so we'll stay in good terms in the relationship with Ribboni Shalom. Therefore, in order to encourage the people to have dveikis, constant dveikis with Ribboni Shalom, Dafka this anxiety was ingrained and when a person came to this world, so it keeps on helping the person to keep on the kesher with Ribboni Shalom. So everybody has it, kids, adults, older people, everybody has it. It's not something it's not something we have to get rid of, because as long as a person is around, he will always have this anxiety, which is healthy, it's good. It's different anxiety that's not healthy, but this is not healthy, but this is good. We can just, or what avoid is not to irritate the anxiety of abandonment. It's as more keeping this anxiety in balance. So by a child, we don't have to work on the anxiety of abandonment to correct it, because it's always to stay. What we can provide the child an atmosphere to reduce to calm down this anxiety. That sometimes it's very important to know what are the scenarios that are igniting the anxiety of abandonment of child. Sometimes today's day the ladies go to work, the working mothers, and they leave the kids by babysitting. Sometimes the babysitter is not relating to the child as it should have been. She's not smiling to the child, or she's not taking care the way she's supposed to do it. And her main aim is to make sure the child is not disturbing her from her activities and her daily works. Or sometimes even the mother is not approaching the child when the child needs her. So that the child is crying, the child needs the food, or some the child just needs that touch and smile and kiss and hug. So when we do deprive the child of this natural touch, love, kiss, and just make the child feel that you care for him, it ignites and elevates the fears and the anxiety of abandonment by child. Sometimes fathers and mothers just leave the home, and let's say the child is crying, he doesn't want the mother to leave, so the mother leaves the child with the father. She sneaks out from the home, and then the child sees there's no mother left. It's also very much ignites the anxiety of abandonment by child, and it's not healthy. The avoiding the first years of the child to raise him and make him grow as less doubt, as less anxiety of abandonment. Although he has it, but the work of the parents is as less exposing the child to this anxiety of abandonment, and as less irritating and igniting this anxiety on his behalf. It's very important to know, I think it's out of conventional way, it's very important when the father and mother are leaving a house to tell the child that they're leaving the house and they will come back soon. And even the child will cry, let him cry. But he will get used to this routine that sometimes parents leave home. Sneaking out of the house, just running away from the home, and not letting the child at the time and make him that all of a sudden he finds and he faces the parents not here, is not the way it should be done, because we're igniting that anxiety and this shock of unexpected fact that the parent leave their home will ignite anxiety of abandonment, but it's not real problem. The problem should not become overreaction and to lead the child to a different non-healthy anxieties. So it's very important to notify the child that you're leaving home. Anyway, child will cry, but you can still leave the home. And with the time, child will get used to this fact that parents sometimes leave home and they come back. Also, very important to know that the first days, let's say sometimes the kid you taking the child goes to hide, and he is feel that he's to go in a new class, and new mom, and new routine. It's even by adults ignites and irritates the anxiety of abandonment. So, but adult his brain capacity is wide enough to be able to handle it. Child is not. So sometimes we take a child to a cheder and he cries because why does he cry? No one gonna hurt you. It's a good voice. Everything is okay. He cries because he's experiencing at the moment that extreme anxiety of abandonment. So it's very important not to run away right away from the class. Sometimes if it's needed to stay in the class, to stay in the room with the child for a short period of time, just to make him comfort, that you would think it should be done this way. And don't worry, the child will not get used to you being always constantly with him in the class, because it just with the time as he will adopt the environment of the class, he won't need you anymore there. But it's very important to be there for a child. I think one of the Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zichrono Livracha's kids said by the Levaya that he had a very strong. He was bringing out everybody. The world knows that Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zichrono Livracha, the godless of Torah, but he was saying people don't know what kind of good father he was to his kids. So he shared one of these stories, his personal experience he had with Reb Chaim. He had the first day in the Cheder. I'm not sure if it was the first day, whatever. But the Cheder, he had the fears of abandonment to go to Cheder, and he asked his father, the biggest master of Reb Chaim, to be with him in the class. He was crying and crying and crying. So Reb Chaim brought his Gemara to the class, and he was sitting in the Cheder with his son and learning by another table. He said that, but he was there with his child just to support and provide the child with that comforts that I'm here for you. And with the time, it just disappeared. Anxiety, and Chaim went back learned this Kol Chazanish. But it's very God. It's very anogah from a godel that he created the place just to being in tune with this nature that every child has that anxiety of being abandoned, and right now at this time that's what my son needs to have. So I will do it for him. And he brought he brought the Gemara to the class. He was learning in class until this anxiety was disappeared from the child. So that's important to notice that the aim in the first years of the child is, I think it's till bar mitzvah, even afterward, but till bar mitzvah, the child is experiencing, there's a lot of changes is going on in the child's life. So it's very important to reduce that fear, that anxiety of abandonment from child. Meaning, anytime you leave the house, notify the child. Every time you come back from outside, notify the child that you come back. Support, and of course, it's very, very important to create more of a positive atmosphere around the child, because the negative atmosphere ignites tremendously the fears of abandonment of the child. Remember, child does not have the brain capacity to distinguish, and it does not understand that when the parents have a dispute within themselves, they don't mean him, they mean themselves. He means that he thinks that the dispute is because of him, so he starts to go into guilt and shame and so forth. So it's tremendously important to create as more positive atmosphere around the child and surround him with that happiness, surround the gishmak. So it will reduce, it will keep in balance that anxiety of abandonment. So back to the question we started. Why sometimes kids acting very aggressively in the class, or very aggressively with the siblings. They confiscate the toys instead of asking. They confiscate instead of sharing. They're beating up. It's a lot of times it's happening because this child right now is experiencing of fear, anxiety of abandonment. Meaning to say, let's say if your child, if let's say the child sometimes being a victim of the different child who's beating him up, or let's say he's bothering him, the first thing will have to come in mind, loved up because the child is bullied, although the source of bully is also high level of anxiety of abandonment, but it might be the reason why the child is acting aggressively to your child or to his siblings, and hide and at home, because right now the child is experiencing fears of abandonment. We need to just confirm to him that we're here for you, we support you, don't worry, you will never be left, we'll never leave you, we'll always be here for you, and give that confirmation, comfort, verbally, physically, and emotionally. And at a lot of times it helps to reduce the aggression of the child and help the child to be more expressive and more gentle with others, with kids around him, and with his family members. Bez Hashem will continue tomorrow. Kol Tov. Everybody should have a wonderful day.